Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. Okay, so I fleshed it out a little bit better. So, this is called,
I'll go.
A Riddle to Remember.
Okay.
Alright. I'm going to give you a list of our characters, set up everything, okay? This is going to take place in Vermont.
Okay.
Maybe even New Hampshire. Okay?
Okay.
Fall. Beautiful. It's fun.
Cold.
Taurus. Real cold. So we have a professor. His name is Bernard Billum. He's 64. He's on the verge of tenure. He's a professor of anatomy and English. He's a two-time Nobel Peace Prize runner-up.
Okay.
In literature, right? No kids, no friends, but well-loved.
Okay.
Behind the doors, he's verbally abusive. It's like I got angry with you earlier.
Is he white?
No, he's black.
Oh, okay.
Every character that I have, unless stated otherwise, are black.
I just thought of angry white people.
Yeah, but think about angry black professor.
Mm-hmm.
But behind the door is angry. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he's a riddler. He writes riddles. And he's a part of a riddle making club that the newspaper runs. They pay for their own. It ain't cool, so they pay for their own space. And they, they all put in money every week to have a section just for riddles.
In the newspaper.
Right?
So like crossword puzzles.
It's like crossword puzzles, but, riddles. Technically, crossword puzzles are riddles.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
But
that's true.
They're like long form.
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, he begins correspondence with a 51-year-old riddler named Terrence. He lives all the way in Texas,
mm-hmm.
right? So, let's say that this newspaper you have to, subscribe to.
Okay.
Subscribe. That's it, yes.
Is it subscribe as in, a mailer, or is it subscribe as in, put your email here and you get blasts or something?
A mailer.
Gotcha.
Let's start old school.
It seems like
real
yeah.
ink and paper.
We're talking old people.
So. Yeah. So, Professor is 64. Terrence is 51.
Gotcha.
Right? So, they began through this riddling. Through this riddling, they became. Damn, Gina.
All right. You did say it was a long day. So.
Exactly. They became pen pals.
Okay. Yeah.
For the last 4 years, right? And Professor, right? So that's a little bit on the friendship he has with Terrence. So, Professor Bernard Billum has a wife of 17 years named Tiffany.
Okay.
She's a published author. Damn.
You said it right the first time?
Arthur?
Oh, I didn't hear the R. Okay.
It's a simple message that comes from your heart. Believe in yourself.
Vocals by Jody.
You know what I'm saying? Hear that? Yourself. She's a she's a author on short novels on fictional war battles. In a world where Africa and Africans were the colonizers of the world. So that's how deep she be thinking and shit.
Right.
She black too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Only one not black is Terrence, and he's half black. You know what I'm saying? She's reserved, careful. Reserved, careful, cheap, never drives. No, that's Bill. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Sounds like a man.
So exactly. More into Tiffany, his wife. She's a former student of Professor Bellum. She's 40 years old, by the way.
I was just going to say she must be a little younger than.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but.
Expensive taste. Physically abusive.
Whoa.
Cannot have children, ? Strange. Unhinged. Beautiful, curvy. Trophy wife. Master's in psychology. She's a painter. Right? And a little bit more on Terrence. He's a former PI in Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas. Now owns, 2 bars in Texas. Has a wife, adult children, best friends with Professor Bernard. Wrote Riddle since he was a kid. Has a big heart. 6'2", 220, bad left knee. And then we have...
Not everybody needs to have a bad knee.
They got clicky ass knee since powerlifting. Goddamn knees weights. Then we have Christian. I wrote some fucking Italian name, Televini. A handler of Professor B's estate. Rude, maybe crass, cocky, jealous. Married, and...
What's up with these dudes?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Assholes.
This is just, I think it's the education. Don't go to school, y'all. It'll make you mean.
Alright, so this was... No, let's leave it like that. Anyway. So, that's the background. I got a lot of editing to do, so let me get to it.
Okay.
That's the background. So... And obviously, I'm just going to tell this shit off the top of my fucking head.
As per usual.
So this is like a LA noir type of movie feel. Think of the 50s, the 60s kind of movies. One camera, one shot, all above the chest, deep into your eyes, long monologues, bang, bang, bang. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So we open up at the funeral of Professor Bernard Bellum. The crowd is about... There's more people that should have been there than there are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Out of the people that should have been there, it should have been about 200 people there. He's been, you know what I mean? People saying, oh, he's my favorite professor and shit like that, but no love given.
Yeah. There's no incentive for them to go, so they're not going to go.
Exactly. I got to do this shit for a grade. Fuck him.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Not even the dean was there.
Yeah.
At his funeral. After the priest is just like, right?
Yeah.
And then say his prayer, and then everybody just dips. Only 2 people stay. Mm-hmm. Is Terrence, who's far in the back, and the widow, who's in the front crying and shit.
Do people know about Terrence?
No, nobody knows about Terrence.
Like, they're just pen pals. Like, he didn't really talk about him in life or anything. Like, wife doesn't know, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I want you to see, you know how the fog blows? Mm. And there's, like, 2 trees that are standing, of course? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it looked like. Okay. Draw that sense, right? Walking up to Tiffany is Christian Televini, the handler of Professor Bernard Bellum's estate, right? And he's having a few words with her, and Terrence is just holding back. Terrence is our protagonist, right? He's our main character. So they're talking, and then he waits till they're done, and he walks up to her, and he's like, "You must be Mrs. Bellum. I'm so sorry." And she like interrupts him. She's like, "Oh, I just don't know. Like, I don't know why he would kill himself.
Oh,
I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had so much to live for, blah, blah, blah. He is healthy. He was this and that and this and that." And just like, it's like, "Who are you again?" And he's like, I'm Terrence. I'm a close friend of Bernard's." And she kind of scowls a little bit, furrows the brow. Like, he had no close friends.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He was just like, Terrence is a PI, or a former PI, so he keeps files.
Yeah.
So he brings some letters to show he's just not some crazy ass nigga.
Yeah, just in case.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So he's just like, no, like we've been close, and he sends the earliest date that they've been talking. She's like, oh, you're him who's, you know what I mean, he's been writing for such a long time, stuff like that. He's like, yes, like, you know, I'm such and such, I'm Terrence, I'm, you know, is there any way I could help at all, and stuff like that. And she's just like, yeah, like he can't. Can you bring him back? You know what I mean? He's like, damn, why you talk that heavy right now, bro? She said, actually, the handler of his estate just mentioned your name because you're in Bernard's will, right? And he's like, what? Nigga, I get some money too? I just came to go bury my best friend, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, do you have accommodations? Do you have stay? He's like, I just got into town, like right on time. I was, you know, back a little bit.
Texas.
She's like, you can stay at our house. And he was like, the place he died. No, yeah. You can stay at our house. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine with me. So he goes, and time goes by. It's about 2 days or so. And he's trying to stay out of the way, and notices she doesn't really do shit. She's kind of exactly how Bernard said she was. A little bit, you know, unhinged, neurotic a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can tell where she's frayed at these seams. And so they go down together to Christian Televini's office and, you know, talk brass tacks. And Televini said, okay, so his whole estate he left to Terrence.
Whoa.
Right? And you are left with his library. Right? Mm-hmm. And just like, he says, you, Tiffany, are left with his library.
Okay.
Right? And his car is donated to the children's fucking whatever, and then this and that he has are other people, but you get the library. Your estate goes to Terrence. And Christian reads it before he says it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes you just read what the fuck is in front of you.
And he was probably surprised.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, huh. So he kind of looks at Tiffany, and he looks at Terrence, like, can I have your, you know, identification and shit like that? He was like, all right, you already looked at it before I sat down in here, but okay. Shows it to him again. He's just like, how long have you been, like, that doesn't matter. Yeah. Why? You know, how long, whatever. So here are a stack of envelopes he left you as well.
I'm assuming riddles.
He left Terrence a stack of letters and shit. He says, under instructions, you cannot read this unless you're by yourself. You cannot read number 1 unless you're by yourself. That's 5 letters. Right? 5 or 6, give or take. And then he's like, okay. He grabs the letters, a little bit of back and forth. Tension's in the room. It's very noticeable. Back and forth, goes back. And he's like, I have to use the restroom. Mm-hmm. Takes the letters, of course. Right. His fucking letters. And he reads the first one. And it's a riddle.
Yep.
Right? And he says, instructions. Do not read the second letter until you have figured out and done what you're supposed to do with the first letter. It's like a riddle, like the thoughts pour into my thoughts pour into this, they never come out. Thirsty is the mind without a spout. And it was just like, what the fuck? This is like half written, like by a crazy nigga. Like, what do you?
It's not like a usual riddle that they're used to.
Exactly, not Bernard's riddles. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're more in depth, they're more thoughtful. Also, he's like, he leaves like a last like instruction on the bottom. He's like, "You knew how happy I was. Why would it end like this?" Right? And nigga just like taking the shit like, what the fuck? And so he gets to thinking. And he's in the car by now. His mind just totally lapses. Forgets to wipe his ass, like, and he's in the car now. And he thinks, journal, right? Then it goes past and they get to the house now. And she's kind of disheveled now. Like, she's like, nigga, where the fuck am I going to live? This nigga, I haven't worked in 17 years. Like, I haven't published a book in 10, you know? And so he's like, do you mind if I look through the library and shit like that? He's like, no, don't worry about it. Go ahead, you know? And he's looking and shit like that. Well, she said something snarky like, oh, what else are you going to take from me?
Of course she's salty.
You know what I'm saying? You know, salty. So...
especially since she's a materialistic person.
Exactly.
Like, she likes expensive things. She thought everything was going to be hers. Especially if it's a fat house.
Yeah. What the fuck am I going to do with this book?
Like, yeah, library, what? Paper?
Exactly. So, they look and shit like that. And, not they look. Terrence looks. He finds a journal. The past journal of Tiffany. Right? It's found in this obscure place she thought is hiding. Yeah. But it's not really fucking hiding. And he reads in it and shit like that, and he's like, "Oh, this bitch is actually crazy." Like, but he reads this intense anger that she has for Bernard, and an obvious affair that she's having as well. And so he's like, "Okay, fucking." Then she did it. That's it.
Right.
Right. And he puts it back, try to get it exactly right.
In the same place.
You know what I'm saying? Dipsy just like, then Tiffany just like, do you find everything? Like, as he's like backing up, he's like, oh, did you find everything? He's like, oh, shit.
Like, you might have seen me do it.
Exactly. You might, but you saw my hand leaving, but you didn't see my hand picking it up.
Like, what exactly?
Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, I found everything. You know what I'm saying? She's like, are you hungry? And he's like, oh, shit, I don't think I should be eating from you, you black widow. He's like, yeah, sure, I could eat. And shit like that. They wine and dine and shit like he's a southern nigga, so he likes drinking. So he's drinking heavy and shit like that. And they're talking and like laughing. And she's like, oh, this bitch is charming as fuck. Like, but he stops thinking. He forgets the letters and all that shit. He just talking in the moment. She goes and the night ends and shit like that, and they like linger at the door. You know what I'm saying? Her shit is like, it's like pure pheromones in the air. You're like, oh, I get how Bernard was so
infatuated.
Exactly. And so they bid each other adieu and go to bed. And the next morning, in the night, he hears like footsteps and shit outside the door, like back and forth. He thinks it's two sets. And he's just like, and of course he came strapped up.
Right.
They gotta live in Texas. I'm gonna bring this bitch everywhere I go. 45 under the hip. So he was like, if somebody that I don't know is coming to that door, I'm gonna give him
anybody that comes through that door without knocking.
Exactly, I'm gonna fill that.
It's daunting.
Pussy full of lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So nothing happens. He kind of just stays away and then fades into sleep. Awakes the next morning to breakfast and stuff like that. The smell of breakfast. He opens letter 2. Letter 2 is just riddles, but they equal instruction.
Right.
Like the other one, right? And the riddle's just like, long ago stood a man that's tan. That man that was tan had a band. and in that band was gold. And he was just like, okay, this is more what I'm talking about, right? So he's like thinking, he's like, oh shit, that was kind of hard, and it was hard to rhyme like that. Yada, 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 the nigga comes up with a gold watch, right? That's stuck on a time. And it has a date on there. It's a nice fucking watch. It has all that shit on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it stopped the day that Bernard died, right? He was like, okay, so he went down, he found this watch in his study, like, but it was like a scramble to get it. You know what I mean? Because he heard footsteps and shit like that.
He had to pocket it before anybody
exactly.
could see him.
He pocketed it and like tucked it between his balls and his fucking thigh. You know what I'm saying? And the maid walks in and shit like that. And she's like, oh, speaking Spanish and shit. And she's like pretty much saying like, oh, you're not supposed to be in here. And he was like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to figure some shit out, bro. And
mind your business.
Yeah, mind your damn business, girl. They goes to breakfast and shit, and they spend the whole day together. You know, la-di-da-di-da. And their night ends the same way, but they share a kiss. So this whole time, I want it to be just tension.
Yeah.
Build. Every look, every glance they have, it's starting to change from anger, tension to sexual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like forbidden.
This is your best friend's girl. You're not supposed to do this.
And then on her end too, it's like you took everything.
But she's so
I don't even know you. Like.
But from his reading, she's so used to having what she wants,
right,
at all times.
Yeah.
Now that the future is grayed, she's using her fucking
wiles.
Exactly, her fucking pheromones and shit. They share a kiss and shit like that, and he was just like, whoa. And they end up like, it's like one of those kisses, like I said, 50s movies.
Yeah.
Black and white. They share a kiss, and the band goes off in the background.
Da-da-da.
And then the camera just slowly tilts up and fades away. I mean, fades to the ceiling
as it gets like more passionate.
Exactly. So you know they they had sex, right? So
fornication.
Now he's blinded. So Riddle 3, 4. He goes through. He gets what he needs. You can fill in the blanks or whatever the fuck.
So he's just collecting at this point.
Yeah, collecting at this point, right? And then he goes to open number 5. Right when he's going to open number 5 and knock at the door is Christian. Mm-hmm. Right? And Christian comes in. He hears him downstairs. And he's just like, I can't fucking believe this guy. Really? Out of everything that I've done for this motherfucker, and he goes and leaves it, and she's like, shh.
He's upstairs.
Yeah, motherfucker, like, goddamn. So, Terrence is like, what?
I don't feel safe.
Exactly. So, he opens his back to the door, he opens number 5, and it just plainly says, if you've gone this far and haven't, made sure my soul is rested, then you weren't paying attention this whole time. Okay. You became distracted. The flower always smells great, but you can't eat it, though. You know what I'm saying? That fruit looks good as fuck, but it's made of plastic. And he's like, oh, shit. He said, go back to where you came from, the riddle says. Pretty much just blatant statements now.
Right. It's like the last or second to last letter at this point.
Exactly. So he's sneaking, and this is the last one.
Last one.
Yeah. So he's sneaking to back to the library. He opens up the journal again. But he was skimming this time. He was quick. But he goes to the last page. Mm-hmm. And Tiffany writes, I've let this affair go on for far too long. Way too intense. Shit like that. I feel like I have buried my sweet Bernard. I don't think I can control this man in the shadows. Mm-hmm. And I think I've sealed his fate. I'm sorry, Bernard. Right? And as he turns around, there's Christian right there with a 38 right at his hip. He's like, what you reading, pal? He's like, I'm not your pal, guy. Right? So he's just like, you did it.
Yep.
You've killed him. And he was like, I did it for us. And then he tries to reach back for Tiffany's hand, and she's far back.
Yeah.
And he's looking at him, and he looks back at her. And he was like, you've fallen for it too, haven't you? It's always bitches like this. He goes a real misogynistic real fast. Yeah. He went from, I'll do it for us, to
oh, you not with me no more.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, let me.
Right? She's like, who do you think put this fucking plan in my head, as he's saying, plan in my head, on the syllables? He's tapping his head with the gun. You know what I mean? He was like, Terrence was just put down the gun, and we can talk about it. And then he goes and tells his whole plan, how he strung up his body and shit like that. And choked him to death.
So it was a hanging.
It was a hanging. It was, but he didn't kill himself. Mm-hmm. When Bernard knew that the drop was on him, he stopped his watch.
Okay.
Right before he came through the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just as if anybody's looking deep, you'd understand that this is the time that it happened.
Right.
Well, although my body was found a day or two later, this is when it happened.
This is when it happened.
Yes. So Christian's going off and shit like that, and he's like, oh, this is you need to sign these papers to sign over the fucking estate to Tiffany so we can have our fucking child in peace. And nigga just oh. Nigga, what?
Tiffany.
And Tiffany's just
cat's out of the bag.
You know what I'm saying? And he was like, fuck, Bernard said she couldn't have kids. What the fuck? And he's just oh, she's, this and that, our beautiful, boy, and shit, it's going to be amazing. You can't get in the way of that. So sign these papers. Shove the papers in his face. And he was like, all right, I can do that. Mm-hmm. And and then in the background, creeping up slowly, is Tiffany with a candelabra.
Right. I was just going to say a statue.
Yeah.
Little bust.
Fucking
a vase.
Aphrodite or some shit like that. Titties all out.
Yeah.
And she just right as I'm talking 60s, nigga. Right as she's at the top about to come down, he catches the hand.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, bitch, what the fuck?
We did the same movement, by the way.
Yeah.
Hand up.
And he catches it, and then the music is just da-da, you know what I mean? And then Terrence comes with his big ass and, boo, hold that, boy. They're scuffling, because Christian ain't no bitch-ass nigga.
Yeah. So
he hits him, and he's turns around, aims a gun, bow, shoots twice. Misses totally because he's disoriented. Mm-hmm. And then they're all scuffling in a three-way kind of fucking movie shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got the candelabra in her wrist, is shaking the fuck out of it. She's almost dropping it. She's screaming, calling for the fucking maid. And Terrence is just like trying to dodge the bullets because he's becoming
shooting.
Exactly. He's becoming coherent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
eyesight's just right almost.
Just right almost. And then he grabs the bottom of the wrist, does some goddamn Korean War shit, smacks the top of his hand, gun drops out, pow, with the right elbow right to the jaw. And Christian just like, oh shit, he's almost out of there, right? He unhands Tiffany and shit like that. And then Terrence reaches down for the gun, and Tiffany, boom, with the candelabra to the back of Terrence's head.
Oh,
right?
No.
And Terrence is just like, you bitch. You know what I'm saying? But it's as in, he's startled. You know what I mean? He's a big dude. She's a small woman. So that candelabra just stung hella, and now he's bleeding. So the blood's just like pouring to the front of his head. So she hit him about the top of the head. Boom. The blood's pouring and shit like that. And so he draws, and then she's like, this is where the unhinged comes from, right? Eyes wide, teeth showing, nasty white tongue out. She's like reaching for this nigga. Just like somebody who just pulled off pulled off the mask. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The monster's beneath it.
Right.
And she's like, like rushes towards him with all of this fucking fervor. And he puts that bitch down. Bam, hold that.
Mm. All right.
Fade to black.
Did she mean to hit him?
Yes. Fade to black. Because she knows that the affair with Christian went on for too long.
Right. Then she did say that.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if when he's out of the way, I can get you out of the way now. Because I need...
And then take everything for herself.
Exactly, yep. Bro.
Baby and all. Well,
there was no baby. She can't get pregnant.
Got you. So,
open to my nigga Terrence in a blanket, sitting on the back of the ambulance, a body being wheeled out, and shit like that, of Tiffany, and then in handcuffs, Christian, and shit like that. And then he had all the evidence he needed, because he's a PI. He put it all together. The evidence he needed, and, you know, at the end of that, he just shares a anecdote with the on-scene, like, detectives as he's getting patched up and shit like that.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you know, sad to see this family go. And then he's just like, it's always been gone. Ever since he died.
Yeah.
And then fade to black. And then, like, the fucking band music playing. And then, I forgot what the fuck I called this shit. A riddle to remember. Yeah, then the fucking, you know, drop that shit.
So does he stay in the house?
I don't know what he does, to be honest with you.
So that's for you to determine.
We're going to keep posting and all shit like that, and hope you guys like this shit. I am your host, Jody Pratt. Probably next episode I'm going to be doing a funny one, a mockumentary, the Sir Nick Longdick and his DJ Monkey Balls. I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is a good one. This is hella fucking funny. He's a Christian rapper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sir Nick Longdick. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Sunflower will probably be back. Yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I'm going to edit this shit and then put it out immediately. I love you guys. If you're old, nigga, 40s, late 30s, I don't give a fuck, bro. Do something creative. If you say, I'm not a creative person, nigga, you can dream up conclusions to your fucking spouse. How about you dream up some goddamn art? You know what I'm saying? You can let your mind fade away and melt into Instagram scrolling, but you can't color a goddamn piece of paper. Color with your kids, man. Be creative, bro. Write a fucking poem. I don't give a fuck. Just do something that expands your mind past your 9 to 5 that you have, and then you getting fucked up on the weekend.
Yeah.
And that's going to be you until the doctor tells you you have cirrhosis of the liver. I was about to say psoriasis. You ugly motherfucker.
Well, that too.
Yeah, that shit too, bro. Just do something, man. I'm not going to get fucking rich off this shit. I'm not looking towards it. I'm not looking to that. What I'm looking to is milking my brain for as much as it has so I do not regret anything when I'm old as fuck and being like, I wish I did the podcast like I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Write that shit on my tombstone. All right, love you. Peace.
Bye.